So, when you think about the fuel that's driven you throughout your life, how much of it do you think has been the clean fuel that I was talking about in my issue, or the sort of not necessarily toxic, but that sort of push motivation where you're pushing yourself towards something from a place of trying to prove your worth or trying to prove yourself to the world, maybe?
I think it was, it started with me not have, I was looking for validation.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to get it a healthy way. So I just kept driving myself to do things better. So I would be validated. Oh, wow, good job.
Yeah.
Um, I would work hard. And then if I didn't get the validation, my expectation was, then it creeped in because I thought, well, I should have been validated. So then it
Hmm.
became hurt. I think I learned, well, that's the bad fuel. I
Yeah.
think I struggled with that for a long time. Even though I was raised better, I think my journey was I just had to, oh, even my first marriage, I worked so hard on trying to make my spouse happy that it was, it just defeated me. There was no,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until I learned about self-care, then I learned about, it's not about anybody else, it's about me. It's about how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it, that was not an overnight process. This, I'm talking 20 years. Sometimes I still find myself trying to reach goal. I mean, I think I learned in my 40s finally that you never get to a certain, like, oh, once I get here I'm going to be better, or once I get here I'm going to be better. Guess what? That goal line keeps moving.
Yeah.
It keeps moving, right? And you're constantly chasing it, and then you get caught up in that. I think it clicked when my son was like 11 years old, and he said to me one day, he's like, Dad, I never see you. And I'm like, I know, but I'm trying to feed the family. I'm trying to pay my bills, and I'm just, we got hockey, and I got just so caught up in life. And he just kind of looked at me and went, yeah, but what about you? I'm worried about you.
Well, yeah.
And I just kind of, I was like, what? He's like, Dad, when's the last time you've had a holiday? Like, when's the last time you've like just celebrated yourself? And it took a child to,
Snap you out of it.
yeah. And I just sat with that for the longest time. And I'm like, I have a house. Why can't I celebrate that? I can't, I'm not allowing myself to. And my son just, then that's when I started getting good fuel and self-care and researching it. I still had my grandma at that time. My grandma was just, she's my lifeline.
Yeah.
And that's when I learned that I can't be good to anybody else until I treat myself and celebrate my wins and my goals. I should have celebrated the birth of my son, and I didn't. I should have celebrated every morning I get up because I'm alive and I get to start all over again and make the day better. gratitude, being grateful for everything I have. Yeah. Now at my age, every day I celebrate my wins. I celebrate everything. I'm grateful for everything. But at that moment, my son at that age, he was the only one that I can remember that just kind of, but what about you? It's like, yeah, what about me? He says, like, I want to kind of grow up with you, and I don't want you dead, and I don't want you dying of a heart attack. And
Yeah.
that's where it changed my life. That changed my direction, my outlook.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it took it because I was so trained in go, go, go. I was still every once in a while I had to stop myself and go, hang on, I just had a good day. I could go to the store and buy groceries. That's a win. I'm not homeless. That's a win. Yeah.
Yeah. This is reminding me of something Chris Williamson talks about a lot on Modern Wisdom, which is people sacrifice the thing that they want for the thing that's supposed to get it. They'll sacrifice their happiness to work hard and get success and, reach a level of financial stability that they think will allow them to be happy. But what they don't realize is that they've sacrificed the happiness, which is the thing they actually want in the end goal,
Mm-hmm.
for the thing that they're trying to do to get towards that point. And happiness is just this funny thing that you can't really like chase; it just runs away. But
Mm-hmm.
this, I think, is the core of this dichotomy between clean fuel and toxic fuel, which is that most people don't have an idea of what clean fuel is like because they're so used to using whatever fuel they have, which is fair enough, to in order to get to where they want to go or push themselves to the goals they want to have or um, accomplish their dreams or reach some level of success, whether internal or external. But the toxic fuel is a trap because it works, and that's the problem, is that it works really well, but you can't use it forever. It's like running on coal, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you start polluting your own mind and you start polluting your own ability to enjoy things, and sooner or later you're going to have to switch to some sort of clean energy that you can actually run off of for the rest of your life. And I used to think a certain level of this toxic fuel was just necessary. Like I just thought it was you know, part of the price of achieving what you want to achieve, and part of the price of ambition was just gritting your teeth and pushing through it. But I'm starting to sort of realize now that I don't think it's a necessary price. I think you can enjoy the process of whatever you're doing, be completely fulfilled in your work, and also still be successful. And I think the most successful people are having fun. They are enjoying the process. They are like, it is a game to them, and they're just having a blast, and they're going to outperform everybody, ironically, because they're not trying to outperform everybody.
Mm-hmm.
In their sort of refusal to play the game, they end up winning the game, which is kind of like a paradoxical way about it. Because like most successful CEOs, billionaires, millionaires that you would ever talk to are miserable. They've pushed themselves so hard, like the kind of psyche that those people have to be able to push themselves to that point, to start so many different businesses, to, you know, achieve a level of net worth that you don't even know what to do with the money you have so much. The type of insufficiency you need to feel to in order to push yourself that hard, most people don't understand just the storm that goes on in those types of minds. And sacrifice is necessary to some degree. You can't, and that's I forget which section of the newsletter I was talking about success and sacrifice and this balance of like sacrifices that are compromised trade-offs and sacrifices that are, sacrificing good for better versus a sacrifice that's really just an avoidance of something or a sacrifice that you've convinced yourself is a necessary cost, but really you're just punishing yourself because you've sourced your motivation from this place of insufficiency, probably stemming back to childhood, where the only way you could get attention was if you did something to prove your worth. And
Mm-hmm.
something like the only time your parents maybe noticed you is when you got a good grade or when you did something extraordinary or you did something worthy of attention. And that created a sort of feedback loop that Chris Williamson calls the insecure overachiever, just this sort of archetypal, disciplined, ambitious, hard achiever that gets a lot of stuff done and is very outwardly successful. But on the inside, they're super insecure, riddled with imposter syndrome. They feel like they're never worthy of anything. They can't celebrate their wins and they constantly feel insufficient. They wake up feeling in debt
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like productivity debt, and it takes the entire day. And if their whole day goes perfectly, they go to bed at night, they feel like they've just barely broken even with this, productivity god or whatever that they're trying to satisfy that's like a demon within them.
The moving goal line.
Exactly, the moving goal line. And the shift I've been trying to make is to stop giving myself goals and stop, like, I can have dreams of where I can imagine my life being or where I want my life to be, but having the goal, I'm starting to realize, is antithetical to actually achieving the goal, which sounds completely weird if are used to planning goals and having to-do lists and tasks and setting up your calendar so that you get your things done and whatever. But if you just focus on enjoying the process, and as long as you make sure that you're at least like aiming in sort of the right direction of where you want to go. You don't need to know the end point, but as long as you're tangentially correct in sort of, you're aligned towards something. And it doesn't even have to be towards something. An idea I've talked about a few times is this thing of like an anti-vision, where you can just imagine what are the things I would need to do in order to create my worst case scenario life that I would hate to live. And you just do the opposite of that,
Mm-hmm.
which, can't shift into this toxic fuel where you're running away from insufficiency if you're not careful. But either way, you just want to be aligned towards something and not worry about what the end goal is going to be, because any end goal you set will just shift as you get to it. Even if you fully achieve your end goal, you know, your goal is to make 100K in a year. You make the 100K. Okay, what next? You might bask in the accomplishment for a few minutes and be like, oh, I did it. And then you look around and you're like, okay, what now? So the goal immediately, your brain's always looking for the next thing. So what I've been trying to do is just focus on enjoying the process. Like, I'm trying not to set a daily goal for, say, how many videos I post. Like, I have a bare minimum threshold that I want to post at least once a day just to like maintain consistency and stuff. But like, I don't have some arbitrary goals like if I don't post 3 videos a day, then I'm a failure, because that's going to immediately create uh, just a negative feedback loop with myself. I just try and focus on enjoying the process of actually making the content. Even like the idea of projecting my future growth and thinking about like when I'll have however many followers, that doesn't help either, because I know I'll get to that point at some point. I know I'll get a bigger following, but worrying about when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen doesn't matter. All I know is that I am aligned towards that point and I am working on being consistent, showing up, providing value, and iterating on my content, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, seeing what people resonate with, leaning into that more, leaning into being authentic and vulnerable and opening up with my past experiences, my lessons, and basically progressively overloading my content the same way you would slowly add weight to the, whatever exercise in the gym. And that approach, I think, I've been enjoying it a lot more. Like probably the past month or few weeks, I've been like shifting towards that. But also, I think it's much more sustainable because I'm not pushing myself from this place of insufficiency. Like I'm not trying to prove anything because I'm not focusing on the outcomes. I'm focusing on the process. I'm focusing on enjoying what I'm actually doing. And I'm thinking, if something isn't enjoyable to me, I think, how can I enjoy this just a little bit more? How can I turn this into something I look forward to instead of something I dread? Like editing the podcast isn't the most enjoyable thing, but I use it as a chance to think about what parts of it can be clipped into little short videos that I can post. I use it as a chance to think, where was I asking really interesting questions? Where was I explaining concepts really well? How were my thoughts being articulated in certain moments? Did I have a lot of filler words in this section? Not in like a self-critical way, but just in sort of a analytical lens. I use the editing process to sort of reflect on how the podcast went and just sort of think about what I want to go into the next one thinking about and what I want to go into the next one sort of like what kind of mindset I want to go into the next one with. So just finding like little ways to enjoy the menial or the quote unquote like boring things has really helped me enjoy the process a lot more. And enjoying the process is kind of all there is because, again, the goal points always move. Um, so enjoying the process is the best way to get better at whatever you're doing because the process is the whole thing. And if you can just get better at enjoying that, I think the success is just kind of a natural byproduct.
Mm-hmm. I stopped chasing. I now live in every day, in every moment. I'm present for anything that can come my way. When I'm with people like the staff I work at the restaurant, it's busy, it's hectic, everybody's running around. I can come into the restaurant and just sit at the staff table, not say anything to anybody. And they just come to me. My energy attracts them in, and the calmness. Once you stop chasing and trying to figure things out and enjoy every moment of every day, it's easier and less stressful and more enjoyment. I don't work because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy talking with people, being their calm. I don't have problems anymore. It's easy to fix. A good leader is someone that can fix issues really easy and they love problems. My mindset now is nothing's a problem. I stop chasing and it's just easier. That's my good fuel. I don't have the angst. I don't have the chase. I don't have the stress or the angst. I just stopped and everything just comes to me. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
I don't try to figure it out. I don't have an end game plan. When I need money, it flows to me. I have good health. I have beautiful people in my life. What more do I need? And I just stopped chasing. And everything just unfolded for me. And that works for me. It might not work for a lot of people because a lot of people can't. But it took me a long time to get here. It took realization of meditating at night, going through every part of my day and going, why did I stress out about that? Why did I get so worried about that? Why did I get so angry? But that all developed with sitting with myself and going, okay, why am I burying myself in work? Why am I burying myself in life? What am I running from? Because a lot of times people will get, yes, career oriented, family oriented. Oh, I got to chase the goal line. I got to chase this, but that's fine. You can chase it, but what are you running from? As soon as I stopped and sat with myself and dealt with my demons, and it's hard, and I had the hard conversations with myself. Why did I need gratification when I was a child? Why did I need this? Why did I have low self-esteem? Why was I trying to do everything for everybody to make everybody happy? I was missing stuff as a child. When my son was little, I almost repeated the same thing to him until he snapped me. I just, yeah, yes, it's good to have goals. I have goals. My goals are just to live easy, live happy. I've learned that things will flow to me when I need it. I have love. What more do I need to chase? Everything else just comes. Like I just stop. As soon as I stopped chasing and dealt with myself and my self-care, and that self-care, dealing with what I'm hiding from or avoiding in the toxic world, it just became easier and the vision was more clear.
Yeah.
I roll out of bed every day now and I'm just like, all right, universe, give it to me. I'm ready. And I've just opened myself up and my energy up to welcome people in. Like sharing knowledge with people, helping people, some of your coworkers. And if we can help one person, what do we need to chase? I don't chase.
Mm-hmm.
I let it come to me.
Yeah, wake up with what can I do today?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen today?
But
What surprises are gonna come my way?
yeah, that's fun.
What can I learn from whatever
Yeah.
happens?
And if a door slams or you meet an angry person or, somebody gives you the finger because you cut them off, what was the universe trying to teach you? There's always life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Yeah.
What is the lesson? Maybe that lesson is a reflection of something you need to heal inside. If somebody flipped you the bird and you got upset, well, that's just a gesture. Why would you get upset about it?
Yeah.
That's all he could get at that point. Okay, well, geez, I got really offended, but why did I get offended? Go back on yourself. That was a few years of work, but that work, it didn't turn into work. It turned into research. It's like, why? Why does this bug me?
Yeah.
Why do I need to?
Anger's a signal.
Yeah,
And
it's a mirror, right?
the only time criticism actually hurts is when it's true or it points out something you've been avoiding.
Yeah. And heal. If people could heal themselves and be in a relationship of communication, people say, so yeah, communication's key. Yeah, but what does that mean? Communication's, hey, how you doing? How was your day? No, it's not. Communication's the tough stuff. I feel, I feel, I, I feel like I need more of you if you're saying it to your spouse, or I'm missing something and I love you, but I don't know what I'm missing. Like you got to have those real awkward conversations. Like they're not awkward. They're the vulnerable stuff that people avoid. And if you can go home to things like that and you can just live your day in the now, like like dogs, they live in the moment. You don't need to chase. Yes, you can love your job, but when you fix yourself and you fix your environment, everything else just, the goal line slows down.
Yeah.
The worries, the mind slows down. You start sleeping better. You start eating better and looking after yourself because it's less busy up here. It's less dark in here. We all have traumas, but it's the dealing with the traumas and having a partner or a best friend that you can actually sit and talk with. Not the surface stuff, not the weather, just like how you feel, like what you're missing. You know, I'm missing love and I'm missing connection and I'm missing, but what does that look like to you? I will guarantee, I would love to know the percentage of people that are running from that and keeping busy.
Oh yeah.
And that goal line just keeps getting faster and moving further away and you're
It's
getting
gotta
more
be like
frustrated.
75% at least.
So I had to learn to stop down and slow down. And the moment my son said those words to me, it was like I hit a wall.
Mm.
It was like the universe took the 11-year-old to snap the 38-year-old out of his funk.
Yeah.
I don't chase. I just live. And like I said before, at 61 years old, I feel like I now get to live my childhood. I now get to have the worry-free child mind, the worry-free
Playtime.
Yeah, it's playtime. I enjoy my work, and my work involves people. Yes, my work involves problem solving, really quick like, but I'm not struggling to do it because I'm not running from anything. I can talk to my employees with a good connection, like truthfully and honestly, and
Yeah.
that's my good fuel. Just me. I fixed all this. What do I need? Do I need large sums of money? Yeah, it'd be nice, but I don't need it. I need happiness. I need calmness. You know,
Peace.
yeah, peace. You can have millions of dollars, but with lots of money comes other worries and other, trust issues. Are these really my friends? Who's using me? Then your
Mm.
back's up and you get walls up and you don't let true people into you. I want real people around me. I want real conversations.
Yeah.
Because I'm a feeler, I can feel energy in rooms. I can feel how people are not truthful or they're dodging around questions or they're how you doing? Oh, good. Yeah, I had this. It's no. How are you doing? I don't care about what color car you got or what you did at work. Like, how are you doing? Those are the conversations I want. Like, I'm not doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I broke up with my girlfriend or we're fighting or school's hard or work is, I'm frustrated. Okay, why do you think? Like, as soon as I stopped chasing and that's the stuff I've always wanted, that stuff came to me because I healed myself and allowed that. Because the universe will only give you what you're ready for. If you
Yeah.
want to spend chasing your whole life and
I
bad
think
energy,
goal isn't the right word for things you want to happen. Like, it'll sound crazy to people who have goals and maybe have aren't in this place of self belief and self actualized, like, yes, I can do this. But I don't think of my goals as goals anymore. At least I'm starting to shift towards this. I think of them as inevitabilities. I know that the path that I'm on is leading me towards the life that I want, but I also know I will not be able to force when those things happen, how they happen, or through which pathway I'll get there directly, at least. Like, I know I'm aligned in the right direction, but I don't know what the journey looks like.
that's the fun part.
Yeah, like, I know that I'm never going to stop making content. I love it too much. I love writing. I love having conversations like this one. I love making daily videos where I'm talking about things I've learned, ideas that I'm interested in. past experiences that I've gone through, sharing my journey so that people can get value out of it. So they can go, hey, that's like what I went through. And then they learn, like, if one little thing I can say can help someone change the way they think about their own life and spark that into a more positive direction, content's worth it already. I
Yeah.
don't need any money. I don't
No.
need more followers or more views. If I can help like one person make with my content, and I enjoy doing the content and I love the process of it, I know that that is the key to success. And I know that even if I want it to happen sooner, like the reach, the bigger audience, brand deals, or maybe like a coaching business or whatever on the side, like some way that I'm able to live off of doing this full time would be amazing, because that would be complete freedom in terms of like the type of occupation I'm doing, freedom in terms of like I can do it from anywhere. I can sort of talk about whatever I want in that type of business where it's ideas. Ideas are like completely universal. I can talk about all sorts of different areas. Self improvement is so broad. I can talk about, like relationships and dating. I can talk about business self improvement. I can talk about philosophy and all these other different things. I'll never get bored of it, and I'm still not bored of it. But also just to be able to help people on such a large scale. I know it'll happen eventually, and it's not like I hope I get X followers someday. I know it's going to happen. I just don't know how long it'll take to get there, but I'm not worried about how long it'll take to get there because I'm just enjoying doing it right now. And I know that that is all that matters, because there's going to be other people out there who want to be content creators and they want to do it from a place of some sort of insufficiency, maybe, or they want to prove themselves. They want the reach so they feel validated. They want to make the money so that, because they think having a certain amount of wealth will make them happy. They're doing it for an end goal. And the thing is, when you're doing it for that end goal, you have to constantly push yourself towards it. You need motivation. You need discipline to be able to force yourself to do it. When you just enjoy the process, you do not need motivation. Like, I don't need motivation to go to the gym. I love going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, you have to pay me to stop going to the gym because I enjoy the process of going to the gym, working out, getting incrementally stronger and more capable week by week. Same thing with content. I'm not going to stop making content because I love doing it so much. So the people that have to force themselves to do things, the people who ask the question, how do I find the motivation to blank? You're already coming at it from the wrong angle. And the thing is, I don't want to get competitive because it's, very ego driven and whatever, but the nature of the way that social media works and whatever, it's like an attention economy. There's only so much watch hours and attention to go around. But if there's two people in a race and one person loves the race and loves, okay, maybe race isn't the best example. There's two people trying to do something. One person loves the act of doing the thing. The other person loves the idea of the end goal. The person who loves doing the thing is going to win every single time.
Mm-hmm.
The person who loves working out at the gym will be the better bodybuilder than the person who loves the idea of being number one and being on stage, right? Like Chris Bumstead is one of the greatest bodybuilders of our generation right now. He's won the Olympia, I think he's won 6 times, and he just retired after he won his 6th one because he wants to start a family and he doesn't have anything more to prove. People ask him where he gets his motivation, and he's like confused by the question because he's just the guy that loves going to the gym. He just loves ironing down his form to like as perfect as it can be. He says, I want to make every rep a perfect rep. He loves eating the same thing every day and being like so locked in and dialed into his routine that it would be unreasonable that he wouldn't make it to number one and be the best in the world. But he doesn't do it to be number one. He does it because he just loves the process of doing it. Same thing with this. There's this clip of the number one golfer in the world. I think his name is Scotty Scheffler or something, and he won this whatever worldwide tournament it was, and he was, it's the after game interview, and he's talking about, people are asking him questions about like what he's going to do next and stuff, and he's like, the thing with being number one is like, what is it even for? I'm going to go home and have dinner with my wife and kids tonight. That's what it's all about. The number one is the temporary thing. He's talking about this exact same idea. Like the goalpost shifts. He says, I'm just the guy that loves playing golf. I'm just the guy who loves practicing. I don't care about being number one, but it just happens because I love the game so much, and I push myself to be better, but just from the place of for myself. And that is why I don't see goals as goals, because I'm not pushing myself to get towards the goal. I just know it's going to happen someday. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, yeah, I want to have a wife and kids and have a family, but I'm not going to force finding the right person. It's just going to happen one day. Mm-hmm. I'm open to meeting people and talking to people and being curious, but I can't force the outcome of trying to find the right person. Like, yes, it's a numbers game, but playing the numbers game isn't really the best way to go about it. And it's kind of like ties into this idea of attracting things. You're not chasing, you're attracting. But I don't even think of it as attracting. I just think of it like I'm on this trajectory and I know it's going to lead me to where I want to go. But I'm enjoying the ride while I get there, because not to one place, but just like, towards the level of peace, financial stability, occupational freedom that I see myself having, that I would enjoy having, not as like a I'll be happy when ... but like I'll be happy along the whole way I'm doing it, and I know like it'll just get better and better. There'll be more struggles that come along the way, of course, but like as my reach grows, my opportunities with content will expand. As my, if I enter a relationship with someone, there will be more struggles, but my opportunities for love will expand. Like, basically, the further along the journey I get, the more expansive the game becomes, and the more variables there are to play with. So it's like, I don't see my goals as inevitabilities as like, oh, I will get that to that point and then I'll be happy. It's like I will get to that point and beyond, but the ride will just get better and better. Is basically more complex. There will be more struggles. I'm not saying it's just, it's all good, 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 better, better. Obviously, there will be struggles, and the struggles will have to teach me things. But I'm just excited to see where things go, because I know, after being so vulnerable with myself and being so open and honest with what I truly want and what feels right to me, I know I'm on the right path. There's no doubt in my mind at all that I won't achieve the things I envision myself achieving. So I don't have goals, I have inevitabilities. Even if that might sound like a delusional level of self-belief to some people, I don't care.
Just enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at now. I just enjoy, well, it's been a few years now, but yeah, I don't worry about anything. And yeah, you're right. Your journey, you will expand, you will learn. It's what you do with it that makes it the best. Some people will take their journey as negativity and they'll stay in their muck and they'll stay stuck, and then they get the dark fuel and I'm not, my life sucks, and they get into self-pity. Where the true winners are the ones like, yeah, okay, that was a bump in the road, but I learned.
Yeah.
And you've started your journey correctly because you have no yuck inside of you. You deal with your issues. You deal with your little demons that are little babies right now, and you snuff it out.
I wouldn't say I have no yuck, but I get what you're saying. Like,
But you're
I'm willing
dealing
to
with
work
it.
with it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to call it out. I'm willing to see where it is, to notice it, and I'm actively working on finding those parts of myself
Mm-hmm.
instead of, like, oh, I don't. That feels uncomfortable. I'm near
Yeah.
that. Just put that away for now.
Yeah. And then we
Yeah.
start our run, right?
Yeah.
Got to chase that goal line.
Uh huh. I'm gonna go after this thing over here.
Whee! Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You started right. You're, yeah. I'm excited to see your future.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't really like to give advice because everybody's journey is different.
Yeah.
My journey
Well,
to this
just share
point,
your experience and I can connect the dots.
yeah, it's just I don't stress about things anymore. I'm not uptight about, because there's what does it help to worry? No, that doesn't fix things.
Yeah.
I open myself up. I've just learned to open myself up to anything.
Yeah.
Any challenge in the day, any problems in the day. Are they really problems? No, they're just learning. They're learning tools. Yes, do I get frustrated during the day if I'm trying to fix something and I'm pressured to get this machine up and going? Yeah, I do. But that's focus. Like I get so hyper focused and time limited that I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'll just fix it when I can, but I don't carry it home with me. As soon as I'm done, I'm done. I shake it off and I move on to my next.
You just get like lasered and you're like, this is the thing I'm doing right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I usually can't have people, hey, it's gone. It's like,
Yeah.
but every day I'm open to new journeys and new challenges. As soon as I stop chasing, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think there's an important distinction to make here with surrender and sort of like going with the flow. Because I specifically did not use that phrase, and I try not to use that phrase whenever I'm talking about like this sort of letting things happen, being open to opportunities. Like, you're not going with the flow because that sort of implies this passivity that you're just sort of not really doing anything. You're just kind of like,
Hanging
letting
out, yeah.
things happen and going with whatever happens. And the surrender is kind of like the best word I could think of to describe it. But I explicitly, like, when I introduced surrender, I think this was in not last week, but like the one before, or even the week before that, the trap of understanding. I explicitly like defined the context in which I was using surrender. Like, surrender isn't giving up. Surrender is being open to the opportunities that life throws at you and then using your agency to make of that what you will. Finding the lessons in things, like when things go quote unquote wrong, what is that teaching you?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going with the flow. So that's why I didn't use that phrase. You are surrendering control of the uncontrollable. So, like, the most cliche phrase of all time: life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Sometimes life doesn't give you lemons, it gives you moldy lemons.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure out what you're going to do with that. Sometimes you are expecting lemons and life gives you, I don't know, a handful of potatoes. And you're like, how am I supposed to make lemonade with this?
Yeah.
So the exciting part is seeing what life throws at you, but you don't have no control. What you have is agency over the conditions that arise, or the lemons that are given your way. And the fun part is you get to do with what you will with whatever gets thrown at you. Like, you don't control what comes to you, but you get to figure out what to do with the things that come to you. So, for example, like this last week, life threw me some moldy lemons. I wrote out, I'd been working on this issue. I've had a few ideas about it. I was writing down notes on it. I was figuring out how I wrote out my outline for the issue, and I started drafting it Friday morning, and I had finished the draft. It was like this mega work block where I'd just hunkered down and like that laser focus you're talking about, I was just fully in my writing for like 4 hours. I was enjoying it. It was flowing super well. It was great. It was the outline had like set me up in just the right way where I was like, oh yeah, this idea is going here and this is connecting into this and oh, this is going to be a good issue. I finished drafting it out. I go to the gym, have a nice time with my buddy Andrew. We do a good lift. I eat dinner. We go out for sushi after the gym, and it was really fun. We connected and all that stuff. Had a bunch of laughs. I get home and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna quickly do an edit, make sure there's no grammar mistakes. Then make the thumbnail and set it up for posting on Substack so it goes out tomorrow morning. I go into my notes app where I had the draft written down. All that's there is the intro paragraph, and I'm like, okay, where did it go? I checked the version history because it's like it saves every so often, and it's like you can go back and restore previous versions of the file or whatever. Go to the version history. No changes since before yesterday. That's not right. So something happened, and my entire issue didn't get saved. So those are some moldy lemons. But what did I pull from that? And I think what I've learned, what that experience was telling me, was that maybe the weekly newsletter is a hindrance. Maybe pushing myself to put out an issue every single week and having it meet this sort of self-defined criteria of, oh, it should be, philosophical and thought-provoking, and there should be some actionable takeaways. Like, these aren't arbitrary, of course. Like, I've built them up over time as I've been doing the newsletter. But it's like each time I write a newsletter, that newsletter sort of becomes the bar for like what I'm expecting of myself. What's the new normal? Like, if I go back all the way to my first issue, it's like 500 words, and it's kind of like a poem. It's really short. It's like a page. And that's because when I first started it, I had no expectations of what I thought it should be. I didn't even have like an actual takeaway section or further exploration, I don't think. I added that on later because I was like, oh, this could be a cool idea for like further readings and some stuff to actually like take away from the issue. I mean, I don't always do an actual takeaways, but usually. So these expectations that I had layered month after month of doing this weekly newsletter for almost a year now, I think they've sort of become a burden on my actual writing process. And while I still enjoy the writing and I love the writing, I've noticed more and more this pattern of the writing sort of getting crunched into Friday, where I'm having to do most of it in this one big sprint instead of just sort of letting the issue go where it needs to go, letting my writing come as it does, like not like waiting for inspiration to strike per se, but like forcing myself to do the writing less, because the more I'm forcing myself to do the writing, the less I'm going to enjoy the process. So it's made me reconsider, last week it got wiped and I just put out a quick little announcement saying, there's just not going to be an issue this week. Gave out some reasons. Sorry, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take this week. I'm not sure if I might rewrite the issue. I'm still talking with support, so there's a chance I'll be able to get it back, but I'm not sure if I'll rewrite the issue. If I do, I'll use it as a chance to see how I can improve it. But I'm also going to consider changing how I approach doing my weekly newsletter, because I still love doing these longer form essay pieces, but I think for me to enjoy them the best that I can and for them to be the best that they can be in terms of letting the art of the essay, of the writing, be its truest form, which is something that Rick Rubin kind of talks about, like finding the essence of the piece, or the artwork or the song or whatever kind of art you're doing. You try and your goal as the artist or the creative or the writer or whatever, your goal isn't to like make the best art you can. It's to make this particular piece the best form of itself that it can be, if that makes sense. So it's each essay that I write, I want to be able to take the time to fully flesh out the ideas and make it the best that it can be. And I don't think that that type of writing is conducive to a weekly format. But on the other hand, I also do enjoy the cadence of a weekly newsletter. It creates a routine where people can fall into. They expect it to come at the same time every week, and it's like I have a lot of weekly newsletters that I get that are like, it's a really good cadence. You get like a weekly update on ideas from a creator or something, or you get like weekly takeaways. Like Chris Williamson has a weekly thing, and it's kind of like he'll write out a couple ideas he's been learning about, and then he'll like tell you about the guests he's having on the podcast this week and a few little facts or stats that he's seen about recently or whatever. I think that is a better approach for a weekly newsletter, where it's less of like forcing myself to create a weekly piece of art or a weekly like essay, and more of just like a quicker little update on things. And like, so basically, I think what I'm going to be trying to do from Kaizen going forwards is that I'll sort of split it, where I'll have the Kaizen issues, which are like the essays that they are right now, will just sort of come whenever they come.
Mm-hmm.
And I will spend more time on them. They'll probably end up being longer, maybe 3,000 words, but they'll be more in depth. They'll be more substantial, and they'll be the more true forms of what they're meant to be. And then the weekly newsletter will sort of get lightened a bit. It'll basically just be ideas I've been finding interesting this week and actionable takeaways and further exploration. So basically, the main essay part isn't going to get cut, but it's going to get like transformed into something that I don't have to force myself to write every week, because I don't want to have to force myself to do the writing, because I love the writing. And I feel like that has been a big friction point that I've kind of just been pushing to the side, where I'm like, oh, but that's just part of the weekly cadence of the newsletter. That's just how it has to be. But that's a self-imposed restriction that I've been putting on myself. And I think that if I split the newsletter in this way, I think it'll actually be better, because removing the pressure of when I need to post the essays or write the newsletters will let me have more freedom around when I do my writing. If I'm having like a really busy time, I don't have to force myself to do the writing on top of exams or whatever. And also, still having the weekly cadence that's just a little bit lighter still gives me the sort of like the routine of having that weekly cadence that I enjoyed. So, that I've enjoyed doing for the past year, and sort of like that social proof, not social proof, but like when I started the newsletter, I sort of used it as a way to push myself to do more writing. It's a way to force myself to do more writing, because I loved writing when I had started it, but I wasn't like, I was kind of like doing it occasionally, and I wasn't like doing it as much as I wanted to, and I sort of needed a way to like push myself to do it more. And because I wanted to do more writing, but it was sort of like I didn't have a reason to do more writing, basically. So I started the newsletter as a way to be like, I'm going to do a certain amount of writing every week. And when I first started out, I really liked it because I had no expectations. I didn't have any preconceived notions of what I wanted it to be, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, I've sort of like dug myself into a hole a little bit, I guess, with the newsletter over the past year, because I've sort of inflated my own expectations of what I think the newsletter should be. And that's created a lot of pressure every week for me to put out this 2,000 word essay that has to make a bunch of really good points and connect to my personal life and be vulnerable and be interesting to read and all this stuff. And if I only put out a 500 word piece, I'd feel like a failure, or I'd feel like, oh, I didn't do, I skimped out this week or something. But I think transforming the weekly thing back into just like a weekly check-in, and then having the essays be whatever they be and come whenever they come, and they still might be every like couple weeks, like they won't be too much less often. Like they'll still come out semi regularly. It's not like I'll do one or two a year or something crazy like that. Like I'll still be putting out essays at like a decent cadence, but it's just not going to be as structured because I think the structure that I used to rely on to give me the source of motivation I needed to do writing more often has now become a hindrance on, I think, the actual quality of my writing. Like, I don't need it to be a social pressure way to make me do more writing that I didn't have a reason to do. Like, I don't need a reason to do the writing anymore because I love it so much and it's so ingrained. Like, every day I'm just writing down ideas and I'm writing down notes and I'm like figuring out, oh, a bunch of these ideas that I've been having about this topic sort of fit together. I can turn that into a thesis of an essay that I'm doing. That's kind of like my process is just like capturing lots of ideas and then sort of like collecting them and then turning it into like some sort of finished essay piece. So that's the biggest lesson that this issue being wiped has given me, which I'm actually really thankful for, even though it really sucked when it happened. I was like, oh, like 1,500 words just gone. But I'm glad because I think it was a this little thing that this weekly crunch had popped up a few times, and I was like just kind of ignoring it and avoiding it, and it's now this has happened, and um, it's finally made me realize I need to change something, and I think that is the core of the thing I needed to change, which is that the structure that once gave me the purpose behind my newsletter is now I don't need it anymore. I've outgrown it. Is basically the lesson that this struggle has given me. And I mean, if anything, it might have happened. It's probably the same reason that the power outage happened 2 weeks ago that delayed my newsletter a few days. It's like the exact same thing. It's like I was really bummed about the fact that my newsletter got delayed a couple of days. It's like, oh, I broke my weekly cadence. I broke my streak. But it's the same lesson. Like the weekly part, I think the same lesson was trying to make its way to me, which is like your your self-imposed constraints are not helping you anymore.
Yeah.
And sometimes the constraint, I think it was helpful. It was necessary in the beginning. When I first started writing, like I still loved writing, but I was so fresh and so new to it that I was like, I want to be doing more of this, but I'm not making time for it because it's not a priority, because I don't really have a reason to be doing it. It's just kind of, you know, I'm writing for the sake of writing and it's kind of whatever. And then I was like, Chris Williamson, of course, inspired me. He talked about how he started his weekly newsletter like years ago, and he said it's a great way to get better at writing because if you put out a weekly newsletter, and his is called 3 Minute Monday, so if you put out a newsletter and it comes out at the same time or the same day every week, and you just skip a week, people are going to be like, where's the issue? Like it's immediate,
Mm-hmm.
and that amount of social pressure in the beginning, I think is good because it got me into the rhythm of writing and it got me onto this creator path, honestly, because the newsletter is where I started. And then after I had been doing the newsletter for a while, I was like, I love the newsletter and it's great, but I want to reach more people. I want to help more people. I want to share my ideas to a wider audience. And of course, video is the way to do that because way more people are going to be scrolling Instagram Reels than going through Substack articles. So that's how I got into video content, and now I'm doing podcasts and all sorts of other stuff. So I'm really glad for the structure and the sort of the motivation that the social pressure gave me in the beginning. But it's just, yeah, that has been a really hard pill I've swallowed over just the last couple of days. Has been like, okay, got some moldy lemons. What do I do with them?
Almost sounds like a win.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, could almost be reframed into a win. Yeah, and that's the like maybe they aren't even moldy lemons. Maybe they were just lemons that I thought were moldy, and then but really the rind was just brown or something,
Yeah.
and you cut them open and they're still just as sweet and sour and
Yeah.
still just as good.
So
Yeah,
celebrate this turnaround or this change.
yeah. Now I'm curious. I'm curious and excited about this new sort of chapter of writing that I'll be going through. I guess where I can spend more time on the issues and I can delve into topics more and not worry about pushing myself to put out a certain amount every week because I'll still have the smaller like weekly check-in thing, but yeah, just like letting the essays just expand to sort of fill the space they're meant to expand. If I want to spend like a month on an essay and it's like, I'm writing about a bunch of different ideas, but they all fit together and it's like, it's a big like 3,000 word piece or something. I want to be able to do that if I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I have done that in the past a few times, but I would like split it into parts. Where like issue 30, I think, was like this big piece on like it was very ambitious. I was covering a lot of ground. I was connecting like mortality, the fear of death, with like stoicism, and turning the fear of death into an urgency for creating the life you want while you have it, and then tying that into like humanity's built-in fear of the unknown. And like I just like all those ideas, I like fit them together into this massive 3-part issue, and that was fun. But like I think splitting it up into 3 parts, like it kind of worked, but it would be cooler if I was able to like turn it into one cohesive piece where it was just like a full-on essay, a full-on just like boom. If that makes any sense. But yeah,
I'm excited for you. It sounds like
yeah. I'm looking
just
forward
your
to it.
energy alone has changed. Like you don't feel so much pressure now. And
It's a bit of a relief, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, life happened for you, man.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the quotes I put in. I do like the on Instagram. I do a monthly little carousel post with like it's like a recap of the month. I'll put out like the first thing is like the issues that I did, and the next page is like the thumbnails for all the issues and podcast episodes I did for the month. And then after, it'll just be like a collection of a few different, photos of sunsets or photos of Johnny or whatever, or just photos of me hanging out with my friends. Like it's just like a highlight reel of the month, basically. But I'll also intersperse some quotes that have really just been like stuck in my mind throughout the month. And that Jim Carrey quote, not just that one, a few other ones, of course, of his as well, but life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. It just keeps popping up in my head. Um, so yeah, that was one of the ones I put in there this month. It's just such a good one.
It is. Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, it happens for you, so let it happen.
Mm-hmm. And enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be frustrated and upset, but stay with it. Don't let it consume you and then you run away from it.
Yeah, that's what I like. That's what led me into this realization when the wiping thing first happened. Of course, immediately the frustration, the anger arose, and the first thing I did was like, okay, what am I going to do about this? Am I going to rewrite the whole thing tonight? No. So I'm going to have to put out an announcement, tell my subscribers what's going on, why they're not going to get an issue tomorrow. And then I sat with the frustration some more and I was like, why am I feeling so angered by this? It's completely out of my control. Like, why am I so, like, what is this anger telling me? Because as Joe Hudson says, one of my favorite quotes by him is that anger tells you where your boundaries are. It's a signal that goes, oh, something just passed your boundary, and that's why you're getting angry about it. So I was like, okay, what boundary do I have with myself that this thing that is completely out of my control is making me so mad? And I sat with it And I didn't, it takes time for these things to mull over. So I sat with it a bit and I was like, I don't know. For now, all I know is that I'm going to write out this quick announcement to my subscribers. The issue won't be coming out this week. And then I told you and mom, we were sitting on the couch watching a show or something, and I was like, my thing got wiped, and then, yeah. And I was like sitting with it. And then I did my evening journal. And that's when I think there's an entry in my journal where I was like, I realized that the writing isn't like because my immediate thought was, oh, that writing went to waste. And the first sort of clarity I got from sitting with the frustration, like the first bit of clarity I got was, well, no, the writing didn't go to waste because the value I get from the writing is like sort of crystallizing my thoughts onto the page, like getting my thoughts out into the world. That's what writing does. And that's what, like, writing is thinking. I've said that a bunch of times before. And getting the words out and getting them, organized in some sort of way, whether it comes out exactly how you want it to and, right away, or, you have to put out little pieces. Like I know you do your writing and it comes out in little bits and then you have to sort of like jigsaw it together. Like that's totally valid too. Like just the way the writing comes out helps you realize what you're actually thinking about something. So the writing wasn't wasted, even though it got wiped. 1,500 words gone into the ether, ones and zeros that I had typed, been deleted. But they weren't deleted because they flowed through me. Mm-hmm. And that flowing was still valuable, and it still was a piece of like thinking and processing and writing that I had practiced, basically. Like it was, like when I do a set of bench press, I don't think of the set I'm doing right now only counts if I log it in my book. Like, I track all my lifts to make sure I'm like progressing week by week, but like it still counts because I did it. So the writing's the same way. And that was the first realization I had after sitting with that frustration was like, okay, well, the writing isn't wasted because I did it. And then, so that helped me feel a little bit better. But I went to bed, woke up with it the next day, and I was sort of thinking about how this weekly crunch has been like a reoccurring thing that's popped up a few times. And honestly, this idea that I've had of splitting the newsletter, I only fully sort of realized that's what I wanted to do, like right now, like 30 minutes ago when I said it. Just between us talking and me sort of like thinking my way through it, we were talking about like, what do the struggles teach you and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's what that's teaching me, is that I've been avoiding this sort of pressure I've been adding to myself. And this idea of like separating the essays from the weekly cadence thing has cropped up a couple of times, but it's only been like maybe I could do that, but no, I don't really, whatever, I don't want to do that, and I just push it away. But now I realize like, okay, I keep pushing it away, and the reason I've been pushing away is because I'm avoiding, I don't know, something, maybe like a fear that I'm not enough, maybe, or that somehow if I'm not putting out a certain quality of work every week, that like my newsletter is going to be like worse quality or something silly like that. I don't know. Whatever silly story that I was telling myself in my head. And, but yeah, through sitting with your feelings and expressing your feelings and processing your feelings, the clarity comes out the other side every single time.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And bravo for not running, or getting, I understand you were sad, like typing all those words out, but you didn't express anger. You were just more like deflated. It was like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah, no, anger wasn't really the right word, but it was still like, yeah, that's probably like the most relatable thing for people to understand. I don't know if it really was anger. Yeah, it was kind of just like disappointment. I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's,
Well, the way that I constructed those sentences is just gone now. Like,
well, it's not
it's
gone.
not gone, as I said
Yeah.
before. Like, the act of the writing is in itself like the purpose of the writing, but like the way that I constructed those sentences and those paragraphs and stuff won't be shared with people. And if I do rewrite it in a different way, well, it's going to be in a different way. But if I do rewrite the issue, it'll be different.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll be better. I might come up with different ideas of how to say things, and so it's out of my control. But and I still might get the old issue back if support is able to fix it. And in that case, it's kind of like a win-win because I get the lesson that
Mm-hmm.
the quote-unquote data wipe gave me, but I also still get the writing back, and then I can come at it with like a different perspective of, do I want to take more time with this? Do I want to, is this really the best form of this issue, or was I just getting this out as a good enough for this week, right? Like, was I just like, oh yeah, this is good, and I'm still proud of the way I wrote it, but like, could it be better? Is there something more that I'm not adding to this piece? Um, I mean, in case you're curious, the issue that I was writing last week was about some of the ideas I've been talking about in my videos, which has been like sort of giving advice to not just myself, but like my younger self, but also to other guys who are going through the same thing, where you're sort of the stereotype of the insecure nice guy, the guy who he tries his best with girls. He's very insecure and he is shy and he doesn't uh, feel worthy of love or capable of partnership or whatever. And all the advice he's ever gotten for dating is just be yourself, just be nice, and you know, blah blah blah. And that advice is great on the surface, but the problem is that like you can be yourself, but if you aren't secure and satisfied with where you currently are, then being yourself isn't really going to help because you're going to be confident in yourself. You aren't going to be self assured. You're going to be acting from this place of trying to prove yourself. And women do not find that attractive. They can immediately smell the insufficiency and the desperation. So it's hard to admit, but if you aren't happy with the way your life currently is, you probably need to do something about it instead of just, oh, I was myself and no one, I keep getting rejected and I guess that's it. I'm just a loser and I'm just going to give up. Like, there's all this, the rise of red pill and the incel community and stuff. It's just guys giving up on love. And it's really tragic for me to see because for a long time, like looking back, I think if I didn't get down this path of self improvement and sort of turning my focus inward and like, what can I do? Because, like, if you get rejected by like 10 different girls, at some point you're going to start to wonder, okay, who's the common denominator here? What's going on? It's not like you start to point the the cause to yourself. Now, that can be a good thing because you can, okay, what am I doing wrong? What can I do to, you know, improve myself? What can I work on myself? What do I need to sit with in myself? But it can also turn bad where you're sort of like, oh, I'm just a loser and no one wants me. And I'm just like, women are just these superficial, shallow.
You're sitting in your pity party.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where a lot of these guys go down the wrong path and they get into these really sexist, like red pill communities and incel communities. And it's just, this issue was for me, it was trying to reach out to these guys that feel lost, they feel like they can't find love, and letting them know that it's okay to feel that way, but if you are not happy with where you are, and you're not trying to do something about it, you need to sit with yourself. You need to look inside and figure out how your insecure patterns are leading you to overanalyze things and sort of act from this place of desperation. And if you aren't sitting with yourself and you're turning the blame inward and just saying, oh, it's, I'm just a loser and women only want guys that are 6 feet tall who have, $100,000 a year or whatever. Like, it's basically, I was trying to write a letter to those guys, but also to where my younger self was sort of headed towards. And I was trying to like combine those two ideas. But I think the draft that I had wrote that got lost was a good starting point. But I think it, even just thinking back on how I read it and how I just explained what I was trying to say, I think there were some things missing from it. So I think it's probably a good thing that I'll have to take more time to. It's a delicate issue as well, but especially because the friggin' red pill space gets so politically involved and stuff, and there's a bunch of like genuinely uh, sexist and misogynist red pill content. But the problem is that like the red pill guys, they're the only ones talking and like validating these lonely nice guys that don't know what they're doing wrong. They're the only ones that are speaking to them, like the Andrew Tates and Fresh and Fit podcast and whatever. And at the same time, they're basically saying, oh no, it's not your fault, it's women. And then they're, turning the men against the women and creating this, worsening the gender divide. The issue is like the other side of it is all this like man bashing and like a bunch of entitled women who are saying that men are all, horrible and that men are inherently sexist and the patriarchy's evil, and it's like feminism gone too far basically. So you basically have like these super woke extreme feminists on one side telling men that they're evil, and you have these sexist red pill dudes saying that women are the problem. And it's like, okay, you gotta the issue is going to be really difficult to write because it's finding the balance of saying both sides are wrong, but the issue is both sides are wrong. They're not completely wrong. It's like, yes, red pill is a really sexist and bad space, but they're right about some things, and so are the extreme man-hating feminists. So threading that needle is definitely tricky.
It's a very deep hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast. That one could
Pretty
go.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, next time, whoever I talk with after that issue, but
Yeah.
and that's another thing I've noticed has shifted me towards this separating the essays from the weekly thing is because the podcasts I've been doing have largely been like just talking about whatever the last issue was, but I'd rather the podcasts just sort of be conversations about whatever. Like that can be the starting point, and that kind of was the starting point for this one. We were talking about clean fuel and dirty fuel and stuff. But like I'd rather the conversations just go where they need to go. I think it's a lot more enjoyable for me when I'm in the conversation, but also to listen to. Like you can sort of feel like when the first episode or two that I did, you can sort of, I mean, I literally had like questions printed out from that were like directly relating to the issue. So you could sort of feel like I was trying to force it to be about the issue and stuff. And like, there's nothing really wrong with that, but I think I just enjoy this sort of free flowing because that's what conversations are. It's kind of like jazz. You're like letting it where it needs to go. And I'm enjoying that more. So just separating it from the newsletter a bit more. That's just another little way the universe is trying to let me know.
That's right.
I wasn't listening.
Enjoy the journey. That's why I stopped chasing. Just am. I live in right now. This is great. I love this conversation. It's not scripted. It's not,
Yeah, no.
it's just, yeah. Because a conversation, I've been in hundreds of conversations, and the conversation always starts with a point. But by
Hmm.
the time everybody has talked, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been hard to lose all those words.
It was annoying at the time, yeah.
But you'll, you know, it might not be tomorrow or next week, but
Eventually I'll look back on it and be glad.
you'll go, now I
I'm
know
already
what. Yeah.
starting to think about it
Yeah.
like, okay, this is kind of a relief that I'm finally letting myself not be pressured by this weekly
Mhm.
restriction I put on myself. And
Because you want it to be fun. You don't want
yeah,
to have to feel like, oh my God, I got 4 hours and
yeah. Because there were definitely a few weeks where I was up till like 11 p.m., midnight, finishing the issue before I had work the next morning. And it was like, I don't want to be doing this every week.
no.
And it's not making the writing enjoyable. And as I said, enjoying the process
Mhm.
is the key to success.
And so as looking after yourself and getting proper sleep and
Yeah, that too. So when it starts chipping away at other parts of my life and it's really detracting from the writing, it's detracting from my sleep quality, it's detracting from my enjoyment of the writing, all those things together happening multiple times throughout the year, that wasn't enough for me to clue in.
Mhm.
The power outage, postponing one issue by a few days, wasn't enough. So had to lose a big chunk of writing that I had put
Yeah.
my heart and soul into for it to actually stick. But
And then now if
if you ignore the lesson, it just
that's
comes
right,
back.
it will, and it'll keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just and if they recover it and all of a sudden all your words are back again, sit back and go, okay, now why did that happen?
Yeah.
Like,
What piece of this
yeah,
that I need to keep, basically? If that did happen, then I would. That's probably how I'd approach it. Like, okay, what parts that I already write that really worked, and what parts need
hmm
changing. But if it doesn't come back, then like, okay, it was just a
or
first.
sit with the journey. Okay, you vanished, and I went through this process,
Yeah.
and now you're back. Huh? So now you're back, and
Mm-hmm.
just sit with that. Like, okay,
What now? Yeah.
yeah, now I love it, but what do I do with it?
Mm-hmm.
You might not change it. You might, like you said, expand on it more.
Yeah. It might
Some,
not need
yeah,
reworking. It might just need extra stuff
yeah.
or like additional content. Yeah.
But to go back to I was the awkward child. I was the awkward high school kid or whatever, and didn't know how to act around girls. And
Yeah.
then yeah, it's it's a tough. But I couldn't imagine you guys nowadays. Like back in my time, we didn't have social media. We didn't have,
Yeah.
guys.
Everything's
Nowadays, everything's so microscoped and
everything feels permanent. It isn't really,
yeah,
but it feels permanent because you feel like everything you do is documented and monitored on, whatever it's Instagram or
yeah,
Snapchat or whatever. You feel like everything that happens, everybody knows about because everyone's so connected through social media. Um, so you feel everything feels like it has this act of permanence behind it, which
yeah,
creates a lot of pressure and things. But part of realizing that that is just a bunch of crap and it's just an illusion is when you stop caring what people think
yeah,
and you're just like whatever.
yeah. Who
Just the
cares?
right
Yeah,
people, the right people will be pulled in by whatever you do. They won't be repelled. And if someone's repelled by, you doing something, oh, I'm thinking of a quote now. You can never, I'm completely paraphrasing this because I don't, anyone that you repel by acting in true alignment or authenticity is not a loss
no,
because you don't want them around anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. I've lived like that for years. That's why my circle is very small. And the people that are in my circle are the people that are
Strong, yeah,
are light-minded like me and
strong
love
bind, strong
talking.
bonds. So yeah,
Yeah,
not strong people, but like the bonds between you are
yeah,
really strong.
yeah. Those are your true. That's your true community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had a big. I've never. I've never worried about. Oh, I got 300 friends. If I had one good friend, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Like one good real friend. Yeah. And I've never cared what people think about me ever. I've been, even as a child, I've never, you can criticize me all you want. Those are just words. It's
Yeah.
not, yeah.
Yeah. When you have nothing to prove, then you stop feeling like you need the validation to justify your own existence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And most men and women will find a relationship when they least expect it, when you're not looking, when you're working on yourself and you're growing, and that that person will just come into your life. It'll just flow. you know i've I have I've found by not looking, if that makes sense. Really. And my work and my life and
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to not worry about it, basically.
yeah.
Just be curious,
Yeah,
talk to people. Um,
that's a great
not
word.
trying to
Be curious. Oh,
trying not to force connections. If I'm like say hi to somebody and we chat for a bit and they just don't really seem interested at all, I'm just like, oh, bye.
mm-hmm.
If they don't reciprocate even like the tiniest bit of, I ask them a question, they give me like one word answer. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, message received.
Yeah.
See you later.
Or you're trying to talk with somebody and they're on their phone.
Ugh,
I'm done. I don't even finish. I just walk
that's the worst. Yeah.
away. Yeah. Just don't try, man. Just live. Be happy and enjoy everything you have.
Yeah.
Life isn't guaranteed, but death sure is.
Yeah.
Just live every never don't have any regrets. And as soon as I surrendered and just was like, things became easier.
Yeah. That's probably the greatest gift. Because when I was like 11, I was paralyzed by the fear of death. And I was like, oh, my consciousness is going to end and like it's going to be an eternity of nothing. Like, what is that even going to be like? And like all this like existentialist dread was filling me up. And until I really started to get into Stoicism and letting the fear of death turn into an urgency of getting the things I want to get done in life and like, this is my only chance to do things. What do I want to do? Like, I get one round in the game. What do I want to do in the game? And not as like a place of like, oh, I got to make sure I do as much as possible, like worrying about it, but it's just like, this is my chance. Like, what do I want to do? And just letting death be a reminder that a good life is determined by how many regrets I'm going to have when I look back and I'm 80 or 90 and I'm looking back on everything I did and I'm thinking, what did I wish I did differently? Because the more I sit with that and think about that, I would fear a life full of regret way more than than death itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking back and being like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. And I wish I didn't do that. And I wish I didn't do that. And my whole life being full of regret and avoidance and never actually doing the things I wanted to do. And, oh, just even thinking about it gives me like, oh, that would be horrible. And I would way rather die with a life I was happy with than live with a life that I wasn't,
I've
which
heard
is
I've heard so many stories of people going, "Oh, that's my I don't talk to my sisters. I don't talk to my mom and dad anymore." Like families that are just broke. And I sit and I think, really? Like,
at all.
yeah, like what happens, oh, my mom and I haven't talked for 20 years. What if she dies tomorrow? Isn't there something you want to say to her? Do you not want to,
Yeah,
like, whatever brought this up, do you not want to rectify it and fix it? Like, because if your mom passes, believe me, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna regret it. Oh no, I won't.
it'll wreck you.
It will, and I've seen it destroyed. I have seen people that are just broken because I never got to say goodbye to my dad. I never got to say goodbye to my brother. Like just, and they're so stubborn and they're so fixed in their yuck that when that person's gone, you don't get a do-over. You've got to wear that for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
I've never understood that. That's why I looked after my grandparents when they got sick and they got cancer. And because I wanted, yes, it was hard work. And yes, I did a lot of driving to see them and look at it. And then, move back in with my grandma because I promised my grandpa that I'd let her die at the farm. But I had no regrets. When I said goodbye to her, it was like,
it was a closed loop.
it was a closed loop and I was good with it. I didn't have to grieve because I grieved through the process of watching her die and watching dementia take her over kind of thing. And, it was almost when she died on the hospital bed, it was like, oh my God, yay. Like
She's done.
finally, like, because she was suffering and,
Yeah,
but I had no regrets. And if I was ever angry with anybody, it was, no, we need to fix this. Because my grandparents' golden rule when they were married, and they were married for
forever.
50 years or plus, is they never went to bed mad.
I've heard that one a
They
lot.
ironed it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, nope, let's sit and stay with it. And they were adamant at that. Yes, it wasn't always about someone getting their own way. It was coming together and going, okay, can we live with this? Is this good? And we understand. We'll be better, more
Nothing was
softer.
unsettled.
Yeah, they were both. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah. And then,
Because if you're angry and you go to bed, those are some of like the worst sleeps I've ever had.
oh yeah,
When there's an open loop of some kind.
yeah. When there's a disturbance in the force, man, I
Yeah,
tell
pretty
you.
much.
Yeah, and I live like that too. I will never go to bed with my partner mad. It has to be, because I'm just wired that way, and I'm all about conversation and like the real conversation. I'm like, no, let's just don't stay with. Because a lot of the times I have found that it's you that you're mad or upset with. Sometimes not your partner. Maybe she's
Yeah.
or he's triggered it,
Mm-hmm.
but what was that trigger?
It's triggering your boundaries.
Right. Or a past trauma.
Yep, signaling something.
Yeah. So sometimes people just have to learn and step back and look at themselves. Yeah. But they had some golden rules that I really grew up with and respected. And, they really adored each other.
Yeah.
They were really real with each other. And because, yeah, tomorrow's never guaranteed. And I think once that's settled in for me, my whole, between my son and that, and my whole life I stopped chasing. I stopped worrying. I just flow with the day. Whatever comes at me it's a lesson and it's fun.
And that's the best part of enjoying the process is that like
yeah.
the more you lean into enjoying the process and being happy and grateful and content with where you currently are,
Yeah.
the more you can live each day. Like people say the phrase live each day as though it's your last, and it's so cliche and like
Yeah, it
it
is.
just rolls right past you and you're like whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. But when you actually like just come at it from a different angle, enjoy the process so much that each day you can go to bed thinking, I could die and be happy with my life. That is what that quote is trying to get at. But,
Mm-hmm.
it's been regurgitated so many billions of times that it's just like, wow. Like, I don't even want to say the words again because it's so trite. But that is what death gives you, is the certainty that there is no end goal, basically, is that the whole life is just this process of enjoying the process. And if you subjugate your enjoyment and your happiness for a later date, delayed gratification to the furthest extreme results in no gratification. So you got to be careful.
And you're not celebrating your wins,
Yeah.
because wins are just things in life too, and conversations, and clarifying with each other, or expectations, and
Yeah.
opening the fridge and there's food in there. That's a win.
Yeah.
Sitting in a house with a roof above you and you're dry and warm. That's a win. Celebrate them. Just don't look back and go, you finally made, you and your mother mended your ways, or your father, and families come together. That's a win,
The big win.
right? But how many
Yeah.
people don't sit and go, wow, that's a.
Yeah.
So it kind of just takes us back to where we started in our conversation. Celebrate the wins. If you get your newsletter back, that's a win, man.
Mm-hmm.
Losing your newsletter, losing it, was a win, because look at where you're sitting now. Look at your whole thought patterns
Yeah, my
change. Your
perspective has
stress has
shifted around
changed.
it.
Your
It's
shoulders have
kind of
dropped a bit.
relief has been,
Yeah.
yeah, a little relief has been felt, which tells me should have been thinking about it earlier and should have been.
There's no should have beens or has have been.
Yeah,
It's your journeys. You're right where
it
you should
tells
be.
me that
Yeah.
I've been avoiding it for a while. Is
Yeah.
that when I feel that relief, it's like, oh, that was weighing on me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't realize something's been weighing on you until it comes off, and then you're like, oh, I feel a bit lighter. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Celebrate the win.
celebrate the win. Well, thank you for the conversation today. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. It was great. Thank you.